Thank you so much for joining, Louise.
Kia ora and konnichiwa.
It's so great to connect with you here on HAPS for an interview, because I've been a longtime fan of yours. And I have to say thank you to you for all the support that you've given me to get onto HAPS, as well as buy me a coffee, as well as even before that in Periscope. How are you feeling now that Periscope is kind of dwindling, I guess you could say, or becoming no longer?
Yeah, hi, Pablo. Hi, Gina. It's actually, it's not worrying me at all. I'm feeling like I am, maybe the world has shrunk a little bit for us. We haven't got all those thousands of viewers that we would have had, but I'm feeling like the universe is there and we're actually like a real little bubble in the middle of it. So I'm not worried at all about it. I'm happy I started broadcasting on HAPS a few months ago, and I've been building up my YouTube as well. So I'm feeling very comfortable about everything, actually. I'm happy with the way it's all going.
Oh, that's great.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, one of the things we're going to try to talk about today in our hour is some ideas for sustainable tourism, and I in New Zealand and Japan. Now, how did you get started doing your travel guiding? Tell me a bit of your backstory.
It's a long, long story, and it's the same story. One door closes and another door opens. So I was in the clothing business for many, many years, and I had my own shop from 1983 until 1995. After that, I closed it. I went to work in an English language school, and I did marketing there. I got a lot of opportunities to travel and meet people. I worked there for 11 years and had a year overseas in Korea where I taught cooking and English classes. Came back to New Zealand and gradually got involved first with somebody else in their tour company, who, when I said, would you like me to invest some money in this and we could do it together, he said no. He said, thanks, but no thanks. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'll do my own. So that's how I started. So I built it up from about 2007 to where we are today. So this is the most sustainable form of tour guiding, of course, here online at the moment. Yeah, so still being possible to bring the world to me and me to the world. Hi, everybody. There's Kathy. She's another travel person. Brenda, fantastic. Sorry, I get a little bit sidetracked here.
No, that's one of the wonderful things about live streaming. That's the reason to do it live, is to engage with an audience and to give the audience the feeling of transparency that this is really happening, that they can ask you questions and make comments and you can engage with them as you're doing it. That's wonderful, wonderful things about live streaming with travel. Yeah, you're so good at it.
Oh, good. Yeah, I look very pale for some reason. I'm not pale. I've just been out in the sunshine.
It's all the lighting and the filters. You look beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Let's talk about some of the unique things that you're doing on live streaming tour guiding. Now, you often do these events where people can eat lunch or have a meal with you. I love this idea. Tell me about it.
So Lunch with Louise actually started with one viewer who actually loves food, and every time I was showing some sort of food, there'd be a comment there that went, food. And from that, it was often lunch, because lunch is my favorite meal of the day. And it was often lunch. So from there, I developed Lunch with Louise. So it was either going out for lunch or maybe cooking something at home or sharing something with somebody else. And that was solely on Periscope and on Instagram. So now that Periscope's finished, I don't really feel that HAPS is quite the place for Lunch with Louise, but I will keep it going on some of the other channels. I've loved doing Lunch with Louise because I've been able to go out and explore different places, both here and when I've been overseas. And I've often had lunch with lots of other people. It just hasn't been me. So it's been a really, really great thing.
That's great. I think one of the One of the really fun things that you do, which I also try to do when I go out live streaming or engage in any way for travel promotion and creating content, is talking to local people. So part of your live streams, you're always engaging with local people, but you are also such a good collaborator. You often collaborate with other creators online. You did a recent walk and talk with someone doing an interview while you were walking and talking. It was fabulous. Great job.
That's my new Be My Tourist. So I invite there we go with Dave. So I invite somebody to join me on my Wednesday each week, and depending on the time, wherever they happen to be, and I asked them a little bit what they would like to see. So with Dave, he said to me, because he's in Berlin, we did meet in Chicago, and he's in Berlin, and because they're in lockdown, he said to me he's really missing the city vibe and being out in the middle of it. So bingo, there I have my idea. So we went downtown and I found the busiest place in Auckland, and we were looking for herd is the word. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a herd. It was more like wandering sheep, but we managed to get small groups of people together, and it was lots and lots of fun. So each week it's something different. We go somewhere different, and I have a different tourist join me.
That's a wonderful idea.
Again, we can travel together.
Yeah,
awesome.
I love that. So that's also something people can book from you, kind of a private tour, and give.
So I do a private tour on Buy Me a Coffee. So I do that each week. That's the following day, and sometimes it depends where I am. I can do 2 a week, but 1 a week is sort of enough, and I have a maximum of 3 guests that come on there it runs for about 30 to 40 minutes. So of course we get a coffee usually at the end, and a lot of these people that have are doing these Buy Me a Coffee tours with me are actually people that toured with me in New Zealand within the last 3 or 4 years. So they've come on board. There we go. That's where we were yesterday. We went there. Yes, this week's walk. That was it. And I had Alan Natalie from Vancouver, and we were there, and we were able to meet the guy that had made their coffee for them last year. So, it's sort of, I'm bringing back memories and good times, and also showing that we've got a future for tourism.
Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful idea. And that's definitely something we could also apply in Japan. So reconnecting back with visitors, going back to shops that we visited together or places we visited together after their trip, following up. I love that idea. Or even like a pre-trip, right? Someone who wanted to come, but because of coronavirus, they can't come. You can give them kind of a preview of what they might be able to see once travel resumes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then afterwards, I send them a postcard. So it has a nice New Zealand stamp on it and postcard just to say thank you for joining me. And the same with Be My Tourist. So there's a little bit of a follow on from there as well.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about some of the places that if I did a virtual tour with you or actually visited you in New Zealand, I would want to go. Let's talk about the farmers markets. They're so good.
Yes. Yeah, we do have some great farmers markets. I'm a great believer. Yes, yeah. I'm a great believer in farmers markets, and I've got several around me. This one here that we're looking at now is the Parnell Farmers Market. They only do food and drink. They do alcohol. Once every couple of months, they do a craft market as well that they have inside. And this is really great because there's a limoncello there. It's really, really delicious. I took this photo the first day that he was there, and it's proved to be a real success, and he's in quite a few markets now. So these farmers markets, of course, they're just one for a morning. So people come from very, very sustainable. People come with their own vehicles. They don't have truck deliveries, come with their own vehicles, transport everything, set it all up really early in the morning, and they're just there for probably about 4 hours. And usually they've sold out. So you've got to get there nice and early. So, yeah. Oh, Bobby, kia ora, nice to see you. Des, awesome. Cheryl.
So great to see a lot of your regulars signing on today
Yes,
and watching. This is great.
Yes, I hope everybody will follow Joy. Because Alyssa, fantastic. I hope you'll all follow Joy because she does great stuff from Japan and she's showing cherry blossoms and it's sustainable travel. It's the way we do it at the moment, walking and picnicking and doing things. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise. You're always such a great support. I really appreciate that. Going back to the farmers market. So it looks like some things are still packaged in plastic, which is kind of unfortunate. We see that a lot in Japan as well. But a lot of it doesn't have plastic, so you can just buy it and put it in your own bags.
I usually take my own bag. I try not to use the plastic. It could be if it's raining, they're probably protecting some of their items. The one that's in the middle here I think that is in the boot or the trunk of a car, and that's a roadside stall. So he's obviously, that's for ease. People just stop, pick it up, buy it, pick it up, and
it certainly makes it easier. I understand, plastic is easy.
And even our supermarkets
but it just
offer
causes so many problems, right?
Yes.
At one of the markets, though, they had their own unique bags, which I'm showing now, your photo. That's a great idea to have like a reusable, maybe biodegradable. So after you finish using it for a while, you can put it in your compost heap or whatever.
Yeah, well, you probably could. This is a Hessian bag, and I think they're probably made to last quite a long time. And I actually did buy 2 of these. He gave me a nice discount because I'd live streamed the market. And I did buy 2, and I sent them to some fabulous friends that have followed me since the beginning of Periscope, and I wanted to reward them with something from New Zealand. So they've both got one of these bags, which was awesome. This farmer's market where the bag comes from is, so the picture above it is the same market. So that is their fruit and produce is really, really amazing. Some of it's quite delicate, so that's why it's packed in these plastic bags. But these plastic bags are also, it's soft plastic, so that can be recycled as well, which is really, really awesome. But this is a permanent site for the farmers market, and it's open, I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's part of a community where in the old Air Force buildings, which have been repurposed about 40 minutes out of Auckland. And they've repurposed all these buildings, and it's in a great community there with lots of cafes and restaurants. And we don't need to drive there. We can get the ferry up to the top of the harbour, and the ferry just comes in right there. So it's quite a great little space to have something that is dedicated solely to food.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I want to talk in a minute about all the amazing local produce, which you can't really
I can see your message, yes.
in other areas.
Sorry,
but
can you just
one thing about the plastic wrapping, if it's not biodegradable, we've found in Japan, there is no recyclables of plastic. It's a big problem around the world. But there is some plastic being made from plants, which is biodegradable or compostable and breaks down in water or dirt. And a few shops in Japan are now starting to use that, but not quite enough, right?
A lot of things that we're buying here, including Coca-Cola, it has a message on it saying that this has been made from recycled plastics. I'm not sure whether that's a soft plastic or what it is, but we are getting a lot of containers and bottles made from recyclable plastic.
But I think that, I mean, it's kind of it's misleading because what is actually being recycled is less than 10%. So if you ever have a choice that's not plastic, that's the way to go. And of course, there's so much you can't choose that's not. Everything's in plastic, right? So there's so few non-plastic choices. If you have to, of course you have to. But if you have another choice, like here you're showing in the bottles, so anything glass or metal or made of paper or biodegradable. These are all better choices, right? I love that.
Yes.
What kind of drinks are those?
That's limoncello, which is one of my favorite little liqueurs. The one in the middle was licorice flavored. I think,
Wow.
and then strawberry and
kind of
lemon. So they were
blackish
lovely.
one? Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
In my area around Hiroshima, we're famous for citrus fruits, and it's
Yes.
not only one type. They've got a huge variety of citrus fruits in the Seto Naikai area, and they often do these different kinds of juices. Some of them are, very sour and everything, but I really like the idea of having some alcoholic, as well. So like
Well,
the
you have
limoncello.
umishu. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they do some like the umeshu. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great idea.
So umishu is plum wine, and if you get a chance to try it, everybody try it. You can ask for umishu roku, which means ice with umishu poured over the top. And as
Yeah,
the ice melts, the flavor gets a little bit weaker, but it's the most delicious, gorgeous drink. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
Jay
Jane.
has said, adore. I adore limoncello. Adoro
Yes.
il limoncello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Italian then originally?
I think it must be. Yes, I think it would be. Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your I want to talk about the fruit diversity, because everybody knows kiwis are from New Zealand, but actually you have so much diversity even amongst kiwis. Is that right?
Yeah, we have four different varieties. So we have the green, which everybody knows, which has a very furry skin. And then we have the gold one, which is the skin is not furry and it's sweeter. And then we have a red one, which is berry flavored. And this flavor and this color actually comes from a natural element, which is in the fruit. I don't know how they've developed it, but there's no, there's been no genetic modification or anything of the kiwi fruit. It's just a new color, and it's really, really pretty. And then we have the very, very small kiwi berries, which are just going out of season now as the big ones come in. But I always only buy seasonal. I was really disappointed on one of my lunches with Louise. I wanted to show the kiwi berry, and I just happened to pick up two kiwi fruit in the fruit and veggie shop, thinking they were New Zealand ones. And while I'm broadcasting, I said to them, "Oh, look at these beautiful New Zealand kiwi fruit." And then I looked at the label, and it said "product of Italy."
Yeah.
And I would never normally
have
buy
to-
anything.
I know.
Important.
I get fooled all the time too. You really have to look at the labels.
Yes.
That happens to me sometimes in Hiroshima, and we're so famous for citrus fruits. I want to buy local citrus fruits, but every now and again you'll just grab something, and then as you're at the register, it says made in America, and you're like, no, I want to buy local, and it happens in Hawaii. In Hawaii, we have beautiful pineapples, beautiful Hawaiian bananas, but in the local supermarkets, usually they don't have the local variety. It all comes from continental US. So
okay, yeah, because they're exporting
farmers
it.
Markets are the best.
Yeah, I think they are, and you get to talk to the grower, and there's no middleman. You're not. I mean, they pay a small fee to have a table at the market, but that's going to the market organisers. So there's no, and that might be paying a little bit of marketing on Instagram or something to promote their farmers market, but there's no big middleman corporation thing happening. It's all, the money's all accountable for.
And it's not just kiwis. You have some really interesting, is it a fruit that's in the top right corner picture next to the kiwis?
Oh, the feijoas. Yes.
The feijoa?
So feijoa is originally from Brazil, and in Brazil it just grows really, really small, shrivels up and drops off the vine. But in New Zealand, they grow huge. And actually I did have some, but I've just scooped them all out and put them into my freezer. So I've got 2 bags full to last me for a while. So I can't show you a real live one, but there they are there. And feijoa, and we only get them at this time of the year. But you grow feijoa in Japan.
Do we?
So you
I've
do. They grow
never
in different
seen
places.
it.
So they grow in
Seen
places.
it.
So they grow in Kyushu because I
Oh.
have a son living in Fukuoka, and one of the girls that he works with, their family have a farm down near Kagoshima. Yeah, I'm forgetting Japan. They have a farm down near Kagoshima, and she comes into work and she brings big bags of kiwi fruit of feijoas in for everybody. So.
That's
But we
awesome.
feijoas are great, like cooked up with apples, or you eat them raw. Just eat like a boiled egg. You just scoop it out. They're gorgeous. In California, they're known as pineapple guava,
Oh, okay. I'll
but
have
we make
to
wine
look
out
out
of
for
them as
them.
well.
They might
Yeah,
be around in even in Hiroshima.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love this shot of a vegetable. Is that red onions? But
It's
I
red onions.
I love it when they have the roots at the bottom because
Yes,
I try to do gardening, and anything with the root system at the bottom, once I cut it and use the middle in cooking, I can put that root right into my garden and usually it grows. It's a
yes,
nice way to improve your garden.
yes, yeah, yeah. That's the ultimate in recycling, isn't it?
Reuse. Yeah,
Yeah.
reuse.
Yeah. But yeah,
Fabulous.
these are gorgeous. And I mean, normally in the supermarket, if you're buying a bag full in the supermarket, they've had the skin taken off, they've had the roots taken off, they've probably been washed in some sort of water and ammonia as well to stop little insects. But this is 100% natural with all those gorgeous roots. And you're probably going to take home a few spiders or whatever, but they'll just run away.
Fantastic. And then I've been buying from a local organic farmer in our area, and he taught me that I can eat the tops of the carrots. Usually, you don't even see the tops of the carrots at
That's
the
right.
supermarket, right? But you can eat it in salads. You can make it as part of your broth, like a vegetable broth before you
Yes.
make sauces.
In your stocks. Yes.
So nice to use
We
the
often
whole
throw away
vegetable, right?
we often throw away the best parts of our vegetables. And it's to say, I never peel a potato, never, unless it's not a very nice one. But I always have nice ones. But I never peel, even for mashed potato. I'll still just mash that skin up. Maybe put a bit more butter in.
Let's talk about the vintage shops in your area. They look fantastic.
They're amazing. Yep. So now we're on Ponsonby Road. I've just come back from Ponsonby Road, actually. I've been over for a coffee and had a chat with a couple of friends. We never organise it, we just bump into each other. But this is this is Search and Destroy, which is they started with something called the Cross Street Market. That's the building that they're in. And there's a lovely little group of shops here. They're all vintage and recycled shops. The bottom one is St. Kevin's Arcade. That's another area. But you can see inside the shop here, we've got records. There's a turntable there. They have fantastic music. We're all jiving away there. It's great. And then they actually run a little cafe at the back in the middle of all these Levi's and boots and hats and dolls with legs missing. They run a little cafe at the back. You get a coffee in a gorgeous old-fashioned cup, and they do a couple of sandwiches. Cheapest sandwich and most delicious sandwich in Auckland, cheese and pickle, and a Reuben sandwich, and they do a couple of other little things as well. They might even do a Louise cake occasionally, but the whole shop has this great vibe to it, and it did develop from a market, so which is pretty awesome. And Alison, the girl that runs this, used to work for one of our banks here. She was a high-flying bank manager, opted out, and is now running this very, very creative business. So,
I
which is
love
great.
it.
People can
Is it
recycle themselves.
all of these vintage shops and cafes? Are they inside this old, like retro vintage building as well? Have they renovated?
Yeah, so the buildings actually haven't been renovated. You can see they still look pretty tatty. And in fact, one of the vintage shops is called Tatties. And they're a little bit more upmarket probably than Search and Destroy. Search and Destroy is interesting because they've got these lovely sort of like, the window models outside, and they've got legs missing and they've got no hair. So it's quite fun. And it's just that little group. There's a coffee roaster there. It's called Coffee House Organics. So it's actually run by a Japanese family here. And they have a small coffee roasting machine at the back as well. And the inside is, it's like a little Japanese cafe. It's really gorgeous and the coffee's really lovely. So I like to pop in and support them from time to time. I'm a great one for supporting my local area.
That's great. That's so important. We need, especially now during Corona. And I don't know, you guys have had a lot more freer time in New Zealand than a lot of countries. And I think in Japan too, not as many shops and everything have shut down as other places have, but the small and medium-sized businesses have been really struggling. A lot of less business, right?
Same here. On Be My Tourist this week with Dave, we actually went into my old shop and we met Heather, and she sells all the beautiful crafts and things that are made here in New Zealand. She's been there. She took over after me in 1995, so she's been there all that time. After I finished I'll Be My Tourist, I went back and had a chat with Heather, and she told me she's just getting ready to start the grand sale, and she will be closing on the 9th of March 2022. So she's having a very, very long sale, but yeah, she can't. It's not sustainable for her any longer. So which is a shame.
It's so hard and so sad. And I see more shuttered shops now as I walk through small towns.
Yes.
And I'm just hoping that they're taking a break, or like some places are doing remodeling, getting ready for when business returns.
Yes.
But I'm sure there's a lot that just won't be able to reopen.
Exactly, yeah. And I think often of, all the little places, the little coffee shops and places that I used to visit in Japan, and the lovely little couple of very special little clothes shops that I love to go to. I hope those people are all able to keep going as well. I mean, one of them is in Narajuku, and probably with not many tourists going there, she may be struggling a little bit, but who knows?
Well,
hopefully locals keep everybody going.
Fingers crossed that the government can give support for these places to reopen and to have some financial support to keep going.
Yes, there has been a lot of support, yes, but it's, everybody's still got to live, We're not doing too badly here. We've locked down a lot harder than you did in Japan. Our first lockdown, absolutely everything except the supermarket was closed. Even the independent fruit and vegetable sellers, markets, butchers, only the supermarket was allowed to open. Wow. So we did lock down really, really severely, and we were only allowed out for essentials. So, and that worked. And then we've had a few mini lockdowns since then. But at the moment, we're COVID-free in our community. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're virtually normal.
One of the other shops I wanted to talk about, which is really unique, and I'd love to see more of this in Japan and around the world, is the Repair Cafe. People doing
yes. So that's Undur Cafe there. So that's just up the road from me as well. And I've got to know these people. They're from Iran, and they run this cafe. But also she's very passionate about her Repair Cafe. So they do have a Facebook page, and once a month they have a Repair Cafe. So they have people come in with sewing machines and tools, and you can bring in your clothes that need repairing, or your broken machines, or your computers, or your phones. You can bring all of these things in. There's no guarantee they'll be fixed, but they do the best they can. The sewing seems to be really popular because sometimes it's just a little button that needs to go back. There's no charge for that, but they just ask you to leave a koha. So in New Zealand, a koha is a donation. So they just have a little donation pot there, and you can put in a couple of dollars. Yeah, but it's lots of fun. It's really, really great fun, and the cafe is still operating downstairs, and then you go up the wooden stairs, and then they have the Repair Cafe up there. So once a month, and the next one will be the 10th of April. So I'm sorry none of you can come, but I might bring it to you.
But it's such a great idea, because I think there's a lot of people very conscious of I just have this one thing that's broken on something, or I
Yeah.
love this top, but it's a little bit ripped.
Yes.
But we don't really have the know-how, or we don't have the shops that we used to have that
Yes.
used to repair all of this stuff. But now
That's right.
everybody wants to use the same thing longer, but we don't have the connection to repair people anymore, right?
Exactly, exactly. And these are they're usually older people that are there that are doing the repairing. So they've got a box of tools, and they love tinkering around, and actually it must be so satisfying to get something going again for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm starting to see more repair shops around here. Also, companies like Patagonia, they
Oh
always
yes,
have a repair area inside their shops where you can get some advice how to repair the jackets or things that are from their shop that need a little bit of work. The idea of using things longer, so not just cradle to grave, but cradle to cradle, reuse it over and over again, is definitely the best way to
absolutely.
go.
Yeah, yeah. I went to a wedding. I think it was the end of January. I went to the wedding, and I wore a dress that I had bought in. I can't remember exactly when it was, but probably around 1998. And I bought this dress. I was going to Thailand, and I bought this dress, and honestly, I've probably not worn it a lot, but every time I get it out to wear it, it is just perfect, and it still fits me. That is, and that's great. I haven't had to do it. It's never been repaired,
That's
and
awesome.
it's still absolutely my style as well. So,
That's great.
I'm glad I've kept some of the things, not worn them too often, so they haven't worn out, and it's been really good to get it. And I'm very proud of the fact when somebody says, wow, I love your dress, and I'm able to say, wow, it's from 1998.
That's wonderful. And I was talking to a woman in Osaka, Taylor E, the other day, who she's focused on sustainable fashion. And one of her event ideas is to have a reuse, free cycle section where people can exchange clothes, but also have a dye section. So someone who knows how to do natural dyeing. So
Oh,
maybe
good
you like
idea.
this thing, but you want it to look a bit fresh. So then
Mm.
you take it to the dye section, or they
Yes.
also have a seamstress at the event. So if you need alterations or fixing something, you can also bring your things
Yeah.
and repair it there. So it's not just exchanging old clothes, but it's
Yes.
a little bit more exciting. What a great
Yeah.
idea.
That's upcycling.
Yeah,
Upcycling, a tuck here, a tuck there, and hey, it's all new.
fantastic. I love it. Let's talk a little bit about your time in Japan, because I love to hear the perspective of people who are introducing tours or travel to Japan from other countries. You have such a fresh perspective, and you did spend some time living and traveling around Japan. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so I first visited Japan in 1983, and I've been every year, if not twice a year, since then. And yes,
That's wonderful.
Fujisan. Yes, I
Yeah.
had a day there with the last time I was in oh no, second to last time I was in Japan with Jean-Jacques from Canada. He was there with me. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time in Japan. My two sons live there. Sam's been living there probably now for about 20 years. And they're married to Japanese girls, and I have 4 grandchildren there. So I feel I've got roots in Japan as well. I can't say my first trip to Japan was very sustainable, but it was great. I had my shop at that time, and I wanted to go and buy clothes and buy fabric. And of course, we arrive in Tokyo, and we booked into a hotel, and everything's marvelous, but we've got no idea. We're walking in Ginza, and we're seeing all the flash shops, but that's not what I wanted. So I bought a magazine in one of the stationery shops or somewhere, and I took it to the reception at the hotel, and I said, can you tell me where I'm going to find these clothes? And they had no idea at all. So for 3 days, because it doesn't tell you, it just gives you the brand of the clothes and how much they are. It doesn't say which shops are stocking them. And we walked for 3 days, and eventually we found ourselves in Harajuku. And that was where we wanted to be, absolutely. And we found La Ferret and all these other amazing shops and designers and Comme des Garçons and what did I just went crazy. Comme des Garçons. I bought a jacket and a top and a pair of pants and 1983. I've still got the jacket. The jacket's amazing. Yeah.
Hey, if you buy high quality things and you intend to use them for a long time, that's also very sustainable. And that's a big attraction of some of these higher end brands is that
Yes.
they are made very well and
Yes.
they do last. You have
Yeah.
to pay more, but it's very different from fast fashion where you buy and then you throw it away quickly.
That's right.
You can use it for generations. You can pass it on to your kids, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And you know,
And-
when you
yeah.
think about if you divide the number of years into the cost of the garment, it's virtually nothing.
Yeah.
So you're really getting your money's worth out of something. And if you look after it and hang it nicely always and keep it nicely aired out and get it out occasionally and admire it and just put it on and walk around the house, you still enjoy it.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to point out from these photos is all the outdoor activities, the outdoor beauty that you can do around Japan. Any busy area, any busy tourist area like the center of Tokyo, there's always back streets you can choose. Seeing Mount Fuji from Shizuoka around Mount Fuji is actually a lot more beautiful than on Mount Fuji. So getting out to open spaces, I think this is the future of travel all over the world, but definitely in Japan to explore these kind of out of the city areas where you have great natural views, but still popping into the city, doing some things that you want to do, like shopping or dining or staying in hotels.
Exactly.
But it's not hard to get out, right?
Yeah, that's right. So there's some really beautiful places in Japan, and as we all know, because we've seen everybody's showing them to us. And I mean, one of the things are the rooftop gardens. The rooftop gardens are amazing around Tokyo, and it's just a matter of finding out where they are and how to get there and what hours they're open, and you can take a little picnic lunch up there. But also now when I am escorting people around Japan, I always stay in Shinjuku, and Shinjuku's never really been a favorite spot of mine, but I always stay there for the convenience because most trains that we want to catch leave from there. There's always somewhere to eat. It has these beautiful hidden spots, but it also has all the flashing lights as well. I'll just digress for a moment. Everybody, if you haven't seen on Netflix, I think it's a new show, and it's called The Midnight Baker. Not Midnight Baker, sorry, Midnight Diner. Watch it. It is amazing. It's set in the back streets in Golden Guy, and it's about a guy who opens a little restaurant every night from midnight until 7 a.m. He has one dish on the menu. Watch it. It's amazing. And it makes me feel as if I'm in Japan, all the people. But anyway, I digress.
No, that's perfect. That's a perfect segue to something I wanted to talk about. Is that longer opening hours is also really key for post-COVID travel. So like one of your photos, you've got daytime cherry blossom viewing, probably in Kyoto. It's quite a famous place. And then nighttime as well.
Yes.
So having these light up events at beautiful scenic places, even if it's not cherry blossom season, if there's nice water features and trees and traditional shrine or pagoda or temple, it's scenic enough to really draw people. And then you can spread out how many visitors are there at the same time, which is more sustainable.
Exactly. And it's not just for one night, it'll be over a week or 2 weeks while that season. So you can plan a little bit ahead, and you can walk there. You can walk everywhere in Japan, which is amazing. So
or rent bicycles. A lot of the rental bicycle companies in Japan. It's really nice, especially somewhere like Kyoto where things are kind of spread out.
Yes.
It's actually really nice to cycle around or walk around.
Yes. Yeah. And Kyoto, it has all the very famous temples and palaces. one of my favorite areas, I can't remember what, it's where the oilans were. Oilan, is that another form of geisha? It's near the fish market in Kyoto anyway, in that area. I love it's near Hanazono, and I just love getting off the train there and walking through all those back streets and these fabulous shops with handmade pottery, and they're serving coffee inside and they're talking to you, and that's the sort of travel I love. I can skip a palace any day for a walk and a coffee and a chat.
I look forward to when we can use technology in a way to help us avoid crowds as well.
Yes.
For example, when you're using Google Maps to find somewhere, it should know how many data is being collected on certain streets, which means that that's busier. And it should suggest you take a back street, because I love back streets in Japan.
I love getting lost.
So interesting. And there's no reason this one busy back street is any more interesting than the next not busy back street, right? So it's always worth taking a back street. That's
exactly.
A great tip.
I love getting lost in Japan. I love getting lost, because you're never lost really, because you just walk a little bit further and you're going to come to another subway station. So it's getting lost is one of the best ways to travel, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about food a little bit. When you're in Japan, it looks like you were at a hotel eating a buffet. And buffet is always very attractive for people staying in hotels. And this one had a great view. It looks like big windows.
This is the Park Hyatt in Tokyo. So this is where Lost in Translation was filmed. So with my tour, I always include one posh lunch. And we have a choice between the Park Hyatt Hotel or Tofuya Ukai, I think it is, which is in Roppongi near the Tokyo, not Roppongi, no, it's near Tokyo Tower anyway. I'm losing it as far as Japan goes. I need to get back.
No problem. That's why I'm here.
I love the
Ask
Park
me anything.
Hyatt. Yeah. I love the Park Hyatt. I love hotels. I really love hotels. I'm not a fan of Airbnb at all. Airbnb works for me if you're going on a holiday and you want to stay somewhere for a week or 2 weeks and you want to be comfortable and be at home. I love hotels because they cater for travelers. Hey, why not treat yourself occasionally? It doesn't need to be expensive. Hotels, you know exactly what you're getting. You don't have a big cleaning fee at the end. And, hotels are fantastic, and they were purpose-built for traveling. So the other thing about Airbnb is...
I thought this hotel might be the Nippon Daira,
No,
which is an area, it's only about an hour by train from Tokyo, and it has a beautiful view of Mount Fuji and the bay below, and it has these big windows next to the buffet. Definitely having places with natural light.
Yes.
That saves a lot of the energy cost,
exactly.
But it's also it's more comforting and more comfortable, and not feeling like you're in an enclosed place.
Yes, yeah. And this buffet is really, it's very sustainable as well, because you order a main. So they have 5 or 6 different dishes that you can order, and they're beautifully presented. And then the buffet is the starters and the salads and the dessert. So there's not a lot of wastage in terms of big bowls of food. And I like the idea that something is cooked fresh for you rather than just sitting around waiting for you to eat it. I'm not sure with COVID, because buffets have sort of gone out of fashion a little bit now. I'm not sure how they'll be managing. But Park Hyatt have also been very kind to me with live streaming.
Nice.
And they've let me walk around and show the kitchen and show the food, and then they started following me on Twitter, and they were retweeting everything. So I've been really lucky with them. So I've been lucky with everybody, really. It's been great. Yeah,
that's great.
I'm loving seeing all your comments, everybody.
Yeah, wonderful comments. Really enjoying seeing everybody here. One of the things that I always look for, or I do some consulting with hotels and accommodation sometimes, is try to have loads of local veg, local fruits, coastal fish or
Yes.
stream fish, which is
Yes.
more popular in Japan. Not using the fish from the big trawlers, which we all know is a problem around the world. Not having so much imported meats. If
Yes.
you do have meat, maybe having some wild meats.
Mm.
They have a real thing with wild boar in Japan.
Mm.
There's too many in the forests and
Mm.
in trouble for residents in rural
Mm.
communities or farmers. So wild boar has
Mm.
become more
Yeah.
on the menu. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
Things like having refill areas for water bottles.
That's
In
right.
your room, having a refill glass bottle instead of a plastic bottle.
Mm.
There's a
Mm.
lot of small things that hotels can do that really have
Mm.
a great influence and impact.
Yes. So yeah, no, that's fantastic. Actually, one of my daughters-in-law, her father has a gorgeous. Both the father-in-laws are involved in food. One is in the fish industry, and the other one has quite a famous restaurant up in Shiojiri. So, and of course, I have never said no to any food that I've ever been offered in Japan. I've eaten everything, so don't worry. I can eat everything. So you can imagine all the things that I've eaten. I've always, but because I love offal, just can't remember the Japanese term for it now. But yeah, so I'm off the
Horumon.
farm. What's
Yeah,
it?
horumon, it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah,
I see here you've got a kaiseki. It might be
yes,
maybe vegan. Is this shojin yori?
it is. Yes, this is in Koyasan.
Beautiful. And I just talked to an author the other day who talked about forest foraging culture in Japan. And she went to a restaurant that was famous for bamboo in Kyoto. And she had 11 courses featuring different kinds of bamboo shoots.
Oh,
Amazing.
wow, gorgeous. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I know.
Koyasan is really popular. Did you enjoy it? Such a beautiful place.
So I do. I on my, because with my little tour I do a 2 week version, and then there's an extra week added on a third week. So the third week includes a couple of nights in Koyasan, and those little fellas there,
The Jizo.
the Jizo, that's it, the Jizo, they're on Flower Island, Nokonoshima, just out from Fukuoka.
Nice.
Mm. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
they're really special. That's a lovely place to go. There's Narajuku. Oh, you're taking me on a journey.
good, good. I'm glad to remind you of all your great visits.
Yes.
One thing that I love about the stone statues that you see on the roadside like this, they are the guardians of travelers. So they are supposed to be protecting the travelers as
Nice.
they travel around Japan, which is a wonderful thing.
So, oh, fabulous.
The tiny back streets of a rural town you've got there. Where was that? That's gorgeous.
Yeah, I can't remember where that was. I can't remember. I'd
Yeah,
have to go back
a
through
lot
my
of
photos and see where it was.
a
Yeah,
lot
I've
of
got.
rural towns look like that, and you can see the old classic wooden buildings that have been remodeled a little
So
bit to
yeah,
have stores in the front.
yeah, the street is Narajuku.
Uh-huh.
Um, And there's some great coffee shops there. And, I love going up there. I've been on the bus actually from Shiojiri up there. And the bus was amazing because it went in all the little side streets and dropped all the little old ladies off with their shopping. And then I'm the last person on the bus, and I didn't know when we'd arrived. And he was trying to get me off the bus. But it was wonderful. Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful to see that some of these old rural towns are still in use, and the investment is being made to restore some of these old buildings because they have so much unique appeal. And
Yes.
if they're just demolished and new buildings are built, that whole destination lacks appeal. I also
Yes.
love the street tiles. It looks like old roof end tiles were put
Yes.
onto the road.
Yes, yes. I just can't remember where that was. But Narajuku is really interesting because, they're behind those facades. Well, they're not really facades, but the front of the building, there are people living there. And the one thing that actually spoils the town are the little vehicles driving up and down, because you'd love it to be a walking street. But of course, it's a living street. It's where people are living. So they need to be able to get in and out of their homes. So, yeah.
And I'm just so happy when I see that, the reuse of things that sometimes you see in a town, you see the old buildings kind of falling into pieces, and then nobody's reusing these ornate, designed, high quality pieces that you can use in other ways. So it's so nice to see innovation, people putting it down into the path or using it on different parts of the house. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's got a great atmosphere up there, and the lovely little river that runs through, and they've rebuilt the arched bridge. That area up in Nagano is really historical. And last time with Jean-Jacques, when we were there, my son came with us, so he was our driver, and we borrowed the father-in-law's flash car and off we go to Narajuku. And on the way back, we went into another little area, and there were all these 5,000-year-old buildings, thatched buildings in the history. They'd rebuilt the town, but it had originally been 5,000 years old. Anyway, and it was I was just blown away. And at the end of the day, when we get back to the restaurant and we're sitting there having dinner, and all the locals are there, and we said where we'd been, and they just looked at us and they went, "You went there?" They were so surprised. And yet, because to them it is absolutely nothing. It's always been there. It's just part of their culture. To us, it was amazing. It was just gorgeous.
That's wonderful. And how can you not respect something that's still standing after 5,000 years? That's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, all clay and thatch, and it was really, really gorgeous.
Last Friday, I talked to Dave in Osaka, and he was visiting a village outside of, in Fukushima Prefecture in the Tohoku area.
Yes.
And it had that thick thatched roof, really thick for insulation, and you just don't see those anymore.
Yes.
But a lot of them have lasted a very long time.
Yes. Yeah. They do need a bit of maintenance, though.
And
we have new ones here.
So you have to have a combination of stone instead of too much dry wood around, right?
Yeah. There we are in Osaka. I'm with Keizo there. Keizo took me Keizo always meets us in Japan. Oh, we went there. He's met a lot of my guests. And we went to this Buddha. Isn't this gorgeous? And you take some of the water and you put it over, make a wish and put it over. It's just the most amazing, magical little place. No, you would not be able to find it unless a local person actually took you down these, because even the walkway there is amazing, going down this really narrow alleyway with all these gorgeous old paintings on either side. Wow. Thanks, Keizo.
That's wonderful. A lot of these, small backstreet finds, the best cafe with the owner who has an interesting story, the best small temple you would never find in a guidebook. These are all reasons to have a local guide or make connections with local people who can give you a little mini tour, or even a virtual tour. So I always recommend to people, especially on your first trip to Japan, or maybe your second trip, because your first trip you could just do the big sites and use guidebooks. But maybe if you want to scratch the surface,
I always give people a choice. So with the museum, like if we're in Tokyo, do you want to go to the National Museum in Ueno, or would you like to go to the Edo Museum? And I explained a little bit about, one is going to be like glass cases and it's all very traditional. The other one is a model of the old Edo town of Tokyo. They always go for the one that is not quite so traditional. So, because the Edo Museum is a great experience. Most people don't want to spend hours in museums anyway, especially if they're tourists. If they're travelers, that's different. Travelers will put aside time for that, but tourists just want to have a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that. So there's a big
Some
difference.
great exceptions that I've seen recently, a bit of innovation in the museum tourism kind of motif. Places which are traditional traditional museums, but now they've added a wagashi chef who makes fresh Japanese sweets in the cafe in the museum, and they have a beautiful view of the rock garden, which they've created these big glass walls.
Yeah.
So if you have a bit of innovation in these traditional places, you can really start to offer a very unique experience that's not just about visiting a dusty old museum to learn about history. I mean, who really wants to do that during their short visit to Japan or anywhere, right?
That's
But
right.
if you make it like an experience. Oh, let's go have tea here, or let's go have a Japanese sweet. It's really special. Oh, there's some interesting exhibits there you can also look at as kind of an aside. It helps bring people in, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Can I just share a couple of things with you? One is my first visit to Japan, I want to share the most unsustainable thing I ever bought, which is I bought this in Matsuya, which is a fabulous department store I've actually got two of them. And I bought this in Matsuya on the design floor. I think it might be the 8th floor. And it's an espresso, I've got two, cup and saucer. Imported to Japan from Italy. But I fell in love with them, so I had to have them. So I bought them.
At least it's glass and metal. At least it's not plastic. Yes. I would say that's not too bad in terms of sustainability.
But it's the travel miles. So it had traveled from Italy to Japan. I bought it and it came packaged in a nice box, and I brought it back to New Zealand, and I get home and I unbox it. And what do I have? 2 cups and 1 saucer.
Oh no.
I had to write a letter. This is 1983. I had to write a letter to my friend in Japan and say, I've only got 1 saucer. So her father had to go back into Matsuya and tell the story. He was very angry. I don't know with me or with the store.
I bet they sent it to you though, didn't they?
And I got the second saucer, had to be delivered to me here in New Zealand. So now I have the complete set. And I will treasure them always. But that was the most unsustainable traveled cup and saucer that I had.
I would disagree. You know, I mean, they know that if you're buying lamb in the UK, some of the more sustainable lamb comes from New Zealand. I don't think sustainability is always clear cut. It's really case by case. But in terms of not buying plastic, in terms of buying something you're going to use and love for a long time, you made a good choice. Good for you.
Oh, good. Every time I use it or look at it, I think about, it's got a great story. That's it. Yeah.
And it's a display of wonderful service in Japan, which usually you can expect everywhere. Go above and beyond to please the customer, right?
Yes. But also, carrying on from that, I have been to a lot of weddings in Japan and a lot of special events. I always go back to that same design floor to buy my wedding present for somebody.
Very nice.
So, wow. So
I should get married again if you're buying nice gifts. And in terms of sustainable packaging, you had an example of cross buns you bought this morning. I want to see that.
Yes. I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Easter. Because it's Good Friday here in New Zealand. So I've been to my fabulous local bakery, which is called Daily Bread. Can we see there? Daily.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. And I've bought 6 hot cross buns. These are delicious because I bought 6 last week. So, and it comes in this lovely box with a little clear cellophane window. Ingredients: flour, water, raisin, currants, sugar, butter, egg yolk, gluten, spice mix, orange juice, and rum. Store in a dark
my goodness, that's quite special. They're not your normal hot crust buns, right?
Yeah, and keeps for 7 days. But the local supermarket on TV last night was saying they cannot keep up. They've been making thousands and thousands of packets of inferior hot cross buns, which are just walking out the door. And this bakery does a limited amount each day. So lucky enough to get a box today to share with you all.
Well,
and they
that's
are delicious.
wonderful. And I love that, like I love the work-life balance of bakers who make a lot, but once they sell out, they close up their shop and they go have a life.
That's right.
I talked to Lee Utsumi, a baker in Japan, the other day. She's up from 3 a.m.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's wonderful to hear that a bakery will sell out and then they'll go and take a nap or enjoy their day. Look at that. Well, on that note, that's our hour, Louise. Thank you so much for joining.
It's been fantastic talking to you. I want to say thanks to all the viewers. You're all great, and I've been able to read your comments, most of them, but we haven't been able to respond because, Joy, this has been fantastic, and I'm full of joy.
Good. Well, I really get so much power from your energy, from your live streams, and from your introductions of so many wonderful places in New Zealand. I hope we can meet up someday in Japan and do some walking tours and insight tours together. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, never turn down a walking tour. You can get on that big bus, but won't take you anywhere. Never turn down a walking tour. I've got great walking tour stories for another day.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do it again sometime.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for your wonderful comments. Thank you so much, Louise. Everyone, have a nice weekend. Happy Easter.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye. Bye for now.